Have you ever found yourself in that frustrating loop, where you're constantly busy, like running from one thing to the next, yet at the end of the day, you kind of feel like you haven't actually moved the needle on anything truly important? It's almost like time isn't just slipping by, it's actively sabotaging your best intentions.
Oh, totally. That feeling of being perpetually scrambling for time is incredibly common. And it's the exact challenge that achievement expert Brian Tracy tackles head on in his powerful series, How to Master Your Time.
Mm.
So today we're taking a real deep dive into his insights. We want to show you that the secret to having more time isn't just about doing more, but about strategically choosing the right things to do and doing them with intention. And honestly, you might just find some of his solutions kind of surprising, maybe even counterintuitive.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this because I think, many of us see time management as just scheduling, like putting stuff in a calendar, but Tracy suggests it's far more profound. So, what's the bigger picture here? How does mastering our time really impact our lives beyond just like a neat calendar?
Well, what's fascinating, and he actually says this, time management is really life management. That's a direct quote. He views it as a tool with which you can build a great life marked by high achievement and a tremendous feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment. It's big picture stuff. He even quotes Benjamin Franklin, do you love life? Then do not squander time, for that's the stuff life is made of. It's about being intentional with the very fabric of your existence, not just your daily tasks. And he lays out these 4 core benefits that are genuinely eye-opening. They connect directly to your sense of control and, well, fulfillment.
Okay, lay them on me because I'm picturing a whole new me already, less frantic, more, I don't know, zen. What are these benefits?
Okay, first one. He promises you will gain at least 2 productive hours per day. Now think about that. Not just 2 hours, but the compounding effect, right? 2 hours daily adds up to 500 extra productive hours a year. That's like more than 12 full 40-hour work weeks.
Wait, what? 12 weeks?
Yeah. It's like getting 3 extra months of productive time every single year. Imagine what you could actually do with that. It's not just about doing more tasks. It's about having more quality time to focus on what really matters to you.
3 extra months. Wow. That's not just a game changer, that's a life changer. Suddenly those big projects or, personal goals don't seem so impossible. Okay, what's the next benefit?
Right. The second one has a really direct, tangible impact. Your income will increase by at least 25%. Tracy puts it pretty simply. Time is money. If you boost your productivity by 25%, your income, well, it's eventually going to follow suit. He even suggests, if your current employer doesn't recognize that increased value, someone else definitely will. It's about becoming a higher value contributor, basically.
Okay, more time, more money. I'm definitely liking the sound of this. What else? What else are we gaining here?
Thirdly, and this is so crucial for just well-being, you'll experience more energy and less stress. This comes directly from getting a greater sense of control. Psychologists link this feeling, this mastery over your time and tasks, to less cognitive load and way more positive emotions. When you're not constantly putting out fires, your brain can actually focus on creative stuff, planning ahead, leading to less stress, more enthusiasm. You just feel better, more in command.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Less chaos in your schedule means less chaos in your head. I could definitely use more of that. And the fourth benefit.
Okay, the fourth one is maybe the most personal, the most fulfilling. More time for family, friends, and personal development.
This isn't just about freeing up random leisure time. It's about creating real space to invest in your relationships, your health, your growth. Tracy suggests you could use this extra time to, I don't know, run a marathon, complete a college degree, write a book, build a business, or as he puts it, even to build an outstanding life. It's about carving out time for what truly enriches your specific life. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, and probably for a lot of people listening. I can totally relate to that feeling. Being too organized might make me seem too cold and calculating, or just thinking, I'm just not a time management person. It's not in my DNA. How do we tackle these internal roadblocks that often stop us before we even start? Sometimes we're even kind of proud of being disorganized.
That's a really fair point, and those are incredibly common barriers. Tracy aptly calls out 3 main psychological hurdles. First, the misconception of appearing too cold and calculating, but he clarifies that disorganization actually leads to being confused, frantic, and in many cases under a lot of stress. The deeper truth, he argues, is the better organized you are, the more time and opportunity you have to be truly relaxed, truly spontaneous, truly happy. So it's not about stifling creativity, it's about creating the actual space for it.
Whoa, okay. That's a powerful reframing right there. I always kind of thought disorganization was just my quirky way of being spontaneous, but you're saying it actually reduces it because you're constantly reacting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a light bulb moment.
exactly. The second barrier he mentions is negative programming from childhood. If you were always told you were messy or always late, those subconscious messages can really sabotage your efforts now. And third, there's what he calls a negative self-concept, or these self-limiting beliefs, where people genuinely believe they just lack the ability, like it's some innate trait they don't have rather than a skill you can learn.
Right. So if we've been kind of programmed this way, how do we actually unprogram ourselves? Is it even possible to rewrite those like deep beliefs?
Tracy's really clear on this. He insists there's no gene or chromosome for poor time management. It's fundamentally a matter of choice and skill development, like learning to type or ride a bike. The starting point is simple, but crucial. You have to decide to become excellent at it, make that conscious decision. Once you do that, you can use some really powerful subconscious programming techniques. For instance, positive self-talk or affirmations. This means consciously repeating phrases like, I am excellent at time management, or I use my time well, ideally with some feeling behind it. Your subconscious, which controls like 95% of your actions, responds really strongly to these commands. It starts organizing your behavior to match.
So actively changing that internal script, like doing mental push-ups or something. What else can we do? How do we hardwire these new beliefs?
Another really powerful technique is visualization. Your subconscious loves mental pictures. So you should actually see yourself as well-organized, efficient, and effective. He compares it to the mental rehearsal that top athletes use, Seeing yourself functioning smoothly, winning the race before it starts. Doing this right before sleep is apparently extra powerful. And finally, act the part. The phrase, fake it until you make it? Well, pretend you're already an expert. By consciously acting as if you're great at time management, your actions start to build that belief in your subconscious. And eventually, it becomes your new reality.
Okay, so we've worked on the mental game. That makes sense. Now, what does this all mean for what we actually do day to day? Where do we start putting these principles into, like, concrete action?
Right. The very starting point, Tracy emphasizes, is clarity with regard to goals and objectives. This is absolutely foundational. He highlights this stat that less than 3% of people have clear written goals, which is kind of shocking. And here's a crucial insight he offers. If you do not have goals for yourself, you are doomed forever to work to achieve the goals of someone else.
Oof.
Yeah, that one really sticks with you, doesn't it? Are you building your dream, or are you just a cog in someone else's?
Yeah, powerful. Almost unsettling. So it's about finding our own North Star first, not just, reacting to whatever emails or tasks pop up.
Precisely. And not just any goals. Your goals have to be in writing, first off. And in the present tense, that helps program your subconscious. Like, I earn X amount, not I will earn. And they must be balanced. He suggests covering 3 areas. Business career, that's the what you want to achieve. Personal family health, that's the crucial why behind it all. And personal professional development, that's the how, becoming the person who can achieve those goals. So many people chase the what but forget the why, right? And that often leads to burnout or just losing steam.
Right, the why is key. Okay, so once we have this newfound clarity on where we're actually headed, what's the next practical step? How do we clear the path and make sure those goals aren't just, nice ideas on paper?
Absolutely. Once the goals are clear, getting organized is next. And Tracy estimates that 1 minute in planning saves at least 5 minutes in execution.
5 minutes.
Yeah, which is a 500% return on your time investment. It's incredible when you think about it like that. And a key idea here is neatness. Order is heaven's first law, he says. He even mentions that in interviews, 50 out of 52 executives said they would not promote a person with a messy desk.
Wow, really? 50 out of 52?
Yep. It's not just about appearances, apparently. It suggests a messy environment might reflect, a messy mind.
Okay, that stat definitely makes you look twice at your desk. What about all the stuff, the paperwork, the endless emails, just the sheer volume of things we have to manage?
Yeah, for that onslaught, he introduces the TRAF system. It's an acronym for handling physical or digital clutter. Toss anything that's not relevant, just get rid of it. Refer or delegate anything someone else can do. Action anything you must do, ideally right away. And file only what's absolutely necessary. And get this, he claims 80% of papers filed are never needed, used, or seen again.
80%? That's insane. So most of what we carefully file is just future clutter and a huge mental weight.
Pretty much. So clear desk, clear mind. Then, for the actual tasks you do need to tackle day to day,
Yeah.
that's where the daily list, your basic to-do list comes in.
Yeah.
But he calls it maybe the single most important planning tool. Tracy found you can increase your efficiency by 25% the first day that you start using a list, just by writing it down.
25% on day one, just from a list.
Yeah, but it's not just any list. He recommends the ABCDE system. A is for must-do tasks, high consequence if not done. B is should do, moderate consequence. C is nice to do, low consequence. D is for delegate. E is for eliminate, just cross it off entirely. And crucially, he says, prepare your daily list for the next day, the evening, or night before. Your subconscious actually works on it while you sleep, often giving you insights by morning. Plus, you hit the ground running.
Okay, that ABCDE thing sounds super practical, a clear roadmap for each day. But what about the biggest hurdle? For me, for so many of us, that internal resistance, that feeling of just not wanting to start, especially those big, hairy, overwhelming tasks. Procrastination, right? It's the thief of time, after all.
Exactly. And Tracy explicitly calls procrastination the thief of time. He says it's a primary reason so many people lead lives of quiet desperation. Ouch. Often it's driven by, fear of failure, fear of inadequacy, or maybe just not knowing where the heck to begin. He points out that top CEOs really value one thing highly, the ability to get the job done fast, because momentum builds on itself.
Okay, so how do we actually do that then? How do we conquer that mental inertia, that feeling of being stuck, and build that sense of urgency?
Right, he offers some really powerful, actionable techniques. First one, super simple. Do it now. Apparently, W. Clement Stone, who built a $500 million insurance fortune, attributed his massive success to just repeating that affirmation. His staff even shouted it 50 times each morning.
50 times? Wow.
Yeah, it's like a mental command to just override the resistance and initiate action.
Okay, that's intense. But I can see how that kind of repetition could become a really deep habit. What's next? What else you got?
Number 2 is maybe his most famous one, eat the frog.
Eat the frog.
Yeah, it means doing your biggest, ugliest, most unpleasant, but probably most important task first thing in the morning. Tracy says, then you can start the day knowing that that's the worst thing that can happen to you all day long. Psychologically, you're using your peak willpower early, you get a win under your belt, and that task doesn't hang over you, draining your mental energy all day.
Huh. I love that image. Get the yucky frog out of the way, and the rest of the day feels kind of downhill. It's like a small victory that just propels you forward.
Precisely. The third technique is creative procrastination. This one's interesting. Since you literally cannot do everything,
Right.
you should consciously procrastinate on those tasks that contribute little or nothing to the accomplishment of major high-value goals. Ask yourself, what would happen if this just weren't done at all? If the honest answer is not much or nothing, then actively decide to put it off. This isn't laziness, it's actually intelligent neglect, focusing your limited energy where it truly counts.
That's brilliant, giving yourself permission to not do things intentionally. But for a lot of people, myself included, the line between creative procrastination and just plain old avoidance might get a bit blurry. How do we make sure we're neglecting the right things?
Yeah, that's a fair challenge. That's where the clarity of your goals, those written balance goals we talked about, comes back in. If a task doesn't clearly align with your A priorities or your main goals, it's a prime candidate for creative procrastination. It definitely requires discipline and honest self-awareness about your real priorities. And for those big, overwhelming tasks that are high value, the ones you shouldn't procrastinate on, there's the salami slice or Swiss cheese technique.
Salami slice. Swiss
Yeah.
cheese. Okay.
Yeah, funny names, but practical. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Break the huge tasks down into smaller, manageable pieces, like slicing salami. Or, with the Swiss cheese technique, just pick one small part of the job. Say something you can do in 5 or 10 minutes, and just do that. Punch a hole in the task, like Swiss cheese. This breaks the inertia, builds momentum, and makes the whole thing feel less threatening, psychologically easier to keep going.
Ah, okay. Making it manageable. Even if it's tiny steps just to chip away at something huge, that definitely feels more approachable than staring at a giant, scary project.
Exactly. And finally, number 5 is maintain fast tempo. Work at a brisk pace. Consciously decide to speed up your habitual actions. Now, this isn't about rushing carelessly and making mistakes. It's about developing a sense of urgency, a disciplined, efficient rhythm. He says you'll find yourself getting into a flow state and going through enormous quantities of work in a much shorter period of time than you thought possible. it actually tends to energize you, creating this positive feedback loop.
Okay, wow. This is all incredibly detailed, and yeah, it sounds like it could totally revolutionize how we work and live. But I gotta ask, some might hear all this and think it sounds a bit rigid, maybe too structured. What about just living life, being spontaneous? And what about, say, the busy parent, or an artist, or someone who isn't in a typical corporate job? Do these principles really apply outside the executive suite? My life isn't exactly a spreadsheet.
That's such an important question and a really valid concern. Tracy actually addresses this idea of rigidity head on. He argues, maybe counterintuitively again, that the better organized you are, the more time and opportunity you have to be truly relaxed, truly spontaneous, truly happy. Disorganization, in his view, actually reduces spontaneity because it creates constant stress and confusion. You're always reacting to forgotten things or looming deadlines,
Yeah.
right? There's no mental space for spontaneity. And for the busy parent or the artist or anyone outside a traditional corporate role, yes, these principles are meant to be universal. Time management is for just about anyone who aims for maximum productivity in his or her professional and personal life.
Okay. So it's not just for people in suits climbing the corporate ladder. How would a concept like, what was it, the law of comparative advantage?
I don't
How
know.
does that apply outside of a strict work context?
Yeah, that's a perfect example to illustrate it. The law of comparative advantage basically says you should assign, delegate, or have someone else do any job that can be done at a wage less than you earn or that you desire to earn. Now, this isn't just about hiring an assistant at work. For a busy parent, it could mean, say, hiring a lawn service. Why? So you can spend your Saturday focused on a higher value activity for you, like quality time with your kids, or working on that side project, or even just recharging. Or maybe paying a bookkeeper frees up your mental bandwidth so you can focus on your creative work. The core idea is applying your most valuable resource, your time, to its highest and best use, whatever that means for your unique life and values. Even planning a family vacation, you can treat it like a project management task, right? Break it down, assign responsibilities, set deadlines. The principles are super adaptable.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Seeing your time as this precious, finite resource that you need to strategically allocate across all parts of your life, not just the 9 to 5. It's more about designing your life, not just like surviving the day-to-day grind.
Exactly that. The core principles like time is the scarcest resource. Focusing on outputs, not just activities, they apply everywhere. Managing a household budget, running a volunteer project, pursuing a creative passion, even managing your personal health goals. It boils down to working smarter, not just harder. And developing things like judgment, foresight, self-reliance, and self-discipline. Those are invaluable qualities in any area of life, wouldn't you agree? It's about building a better you, fundamentally, not just a better schedule. So if you remember just one thing from this whole deep dive today, maybe let it be this. The quality of your life is largely determined by the quality of your time management. Think about that. It's a skill, like typing, like riding a bicycle. It's something you can absolutely learn and master with conscious practice and repetition. And doing so leads not just to getting more done, but to a profound increase in your self-esteem, your sense of control, and your overall happiness. It really is presented as the pathway to building the life you actually want.
I love that. It's simple, but it's such a profound call to action, isn't it? It's not just about cramming more into your day, but about being really intentional, really deliberate with the stuff life is made of, as Franklin put it. Thanks for breaking all this down so clearly. It's a great reminder that we really can take control of our time and, by extension, our lives. So if you're listening and you're ready to dive even deeper into these transformative ideas, maybe finally master your time, you can check out the links to Brian Tracy's How to Master Your Time series right there in the description below.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And hey, we'd love to hear from you too. Which of these powerful insights kind of resonated with you the most? Or maybe what's one small deliberate step you're thinking of taking this week to apply some of these ideas? Let us know down in the comments. We genuinely read them all.